At 2:17 a.m., a 46-year-old long-haul truck driver is crossing a flat stretch of interstate somewhere between Amarillo and Oklahoma City. The cab is quiet except for the engine and the hum of the tires. He has been driving for hours. His coffee is gone. The road is empty. For a moment, his eyes feel heavy. Then the truck drifts slightly toward the shoulder. The vibration strips along the edge of the lane rattle the cab. He corrects the steering wheel immediately. What he does not realize is that he may have been asleep. Not for minutes. Not even for half a minute, perhaps for 2 or 3 seconds. By the time he notices the rumble strips, the brief blackout has already ended. His brain fills in the gap. The road seems continuous. The memory of losing consciousness never forms. And that is what makes microsleeps so dangerous. They often disappear before the driver realizes they happen. Most people imagine fatigue-related crashes as a driver slowly nodding off for a long period of time. For long-haul truck drivers, the reality can be far more deceptive. A microsleep is a very brief episode of sleep that can last from a fraction of a second to several seconds. According to the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, drowsy driving impairs attention, reaction time, and decision-making in ways that can resemble alcohol impairment. For someone traveling at highway speed, a 3-second microsleep is not a small event. At 65 miles per hour, a truck can cover nearly the length of a football field in that time. The unique challenge for long-haul drivers is that these episodes often occur during periods of monotonous driving, overnight travel, and circadian low points when the body is biologically programmed to be asleep. Unlike a clear memory of dozing off, a microsleep can leave behind only a subtle clue, lane correction, a missed sign, or a momentary sense that time skipped ahead. To understand microsleeps, it helps to understand what sleep deprivation does to the brain. Human alertness is regulated by 2 interacting systems. One is the circadian rhythm, controlled by the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus. The other is sleep pressure, which builds the longer a person stays awake. In 2003, researchers David F. Dingers and Hans van Dongen at the University of Pennsylvania demonstrated that chronic sleep restriction produces progressive declines in attention and reaction time, even when people believe they are adapting to the lack of sleep. Their findings were published in the journal Sleep. That loss of attention is often measured with a psychomotor vigilance test, which tracks how quickly someone responds to visual cues. As sleep debt accumulates, lapses become more frequent. During a microsleep, parts of the brain involved in maintaining wakefulness temporarily disengage. Electroencephalogram recordings show brief intrusions of sleep-like activity while the person appears to be awake. Researchers at Harvard Medical School have described these episodes as failures of the brain's wake maintenance systems under high sleep pressure. For truck drivers, the risk is amplified by circadian timing. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine notes that alertness naturally drops during the overnight hours, especially between roughly 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. A driver who has been awake for many hours is therefore fighting both accumulated sleep pressure and a biological signal promoting sleep. Monotonous driving adds another layer. In laboratory and simulator studies, sustained attention declines more rapidly when visual stimulation is repetitive and predictable. A long, straight highway provides few changes in scenery, few steering adjustments, and few cognitive demands. The brain begins to conserve effort. Researchers Murray Johns and Peter Tucker have reported that microsleeps are particularly common during prolonged, monotonous tasks performed while sleep-deprived. The unsettling part is that memory formation can fail during these brief episodes. The driver may retain the moments before and after the microsleep but not the episode itself. From the driver's perspective, the road appears continuous even though awareness briefly disappeared. A common belief among professional drivers is that if they are still steering, changing lanes, and responding to traffic, they cannot be asleep. Microsleep research challenges that assumption. In a 2011 review in Nature and Science of Sleep, researchers described microsleeps as episodes that can occur with the eyes partially open and with some automatic behaviors continuing. A driver may maintain a general driving posture while higher-level awareness briefly disappears. Another misconception is that caffeine completely prevents microsleeps. Caffeine can improve alertness by blocking adenosine receptors, and studies from the National Institutes of Health show that it can reduce some effects of sleep deprivation. However, it does not eliminate the underlying biological need for sleep. In severely sleep-deprived individuals, the pressure to sleep can become strong enough that brief sleep intrusions occur despite stimulants. Caffeine may delay fatigue, but it cannot fully replace restorative sleep. For long-haul drivers, that distinction matters. Feeling awake is not always the same as maintaining uninterrupted wakefulness. The evidence does not point to a single trick that prevents microsleeps. Instead, it points to managing the conditions that make them more likely. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has long emphasized adequate sleep opportunity, compliance with hours of service regulations, and recognition of drowsiness warning signs. Research from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine identifies several indicators that often appear before a microsleep episode: repeated yawning, difficulty keeping the eyes open, drifting from the lane, missing road signs, and trouble remembering the last few miles driven. Studies on strategic napping, including work reviewed by David F. Dingers, suggest that short planned naps can temporarily improve vigilance in sleep-deprived operators. The benefit is generally greatest when naps occur before severe fatigue develops. Researchers also distinguish between acute and chronic sleep loss. A single night of reduced sleep can impair attention, but several consecutive nights of insufficient sleep can produce cumulative deficits that may be less obvious to the individual experiencing them. In other words, the most important finding is not that microsleeps are rare emergencies. It is that they are often the final visible symptom of a sleep debt that has been building for days. Back on the interstate, the driver keeps moving through the darkness. The rumble strips are behind him now. Traffic is light. The truck is steady again. What happened during those missing seconds may never become a memory. That is the paradox of microsleeps. The brain can briefly disconnect and reconnect so quickly that the person experiencing it feels as though nothing happened at all. For long-haul truck drivers, understanding that possibility may be just as important as recognizing fatigue itself. Sometimes the most dangerous moments on the road are the ones that leave no memory behind.